bones or the ashes. The spirits light up the night, looking down the edge of forever. So stop me or take my advice.
Now, from the Untold Radio Network, it's Untold Radio AM with Doug and Alex Hajicek.
Hey-ho.
Hey.
Big welcome.
Welcome.
To everybody. You know, I was late today.
Really?
Want to know why? I did it again. I fell asleep at my desk.
Oh, no.
I was literally inviting a few people. Next thing you know, I look at the clock and I'm like, what the hell? So anyhow, I went. It was funny, too, because it does kind of make sense. I had, lab tests here not too long ago. I had surgery on Monday.
Oh, no, yeah.
And on my inner ears, and which I feel great, by the way. But they tested my blood, and my iron is like so low, it's not even funny, which makes you a bit fatigued. And I worked till 5 a.m. again last night. Got up at 8, so I haven't had no sleep and working too much and low iron and whatever. So it's no excuse, but it was weird when you have no indication of you're going to fall asleep.
None.
All of a sudden it's just,
boom.
The only reason you know you're asleep is because you wake up.
Because you wake up, that's when you figure it out.
Oh my God, that was just crazy. Anyhow, so I literally got up 2 minutes ago. Well, not up, but I just fell asleep in my office chair. Like a grandpa. Like an old grandpa.
Embracing your role.
I am taking iron. I started taking iron pills 2 days ago. And I'll tell you, those things are not easy on your stomach.
No.
They're not. Have you ever taken iron pills?
No, it's bad?
It's bad, yeah. It causes just making you want to kind of puke, they're not fun, no.
Was it?
They're gross. They have me on 100, I think they're 100 milligram iron. You can just get them at the store, but they're gross.
They sound gross.
Super gross. Okay, so it's episode 175, and it's, what's today, the 10th today?
Yes, the 10th.
It is the 10th. And we have Don Schneider.
Yes.
I almost said Schumacher. That's a famous race car driver. So it's Don Schneider. And we have Ricardo Sanchez.
Yes.
I have not met either of these guys.
These guys are amazing.
But, they are amazing. So two amazing men with amazing Bigfoot stories. That I do know.
Yes.
So,
buckle up.
Yeah, buckle up. Turn your lights down. Go get a beverage. Wake up. Get a hot beverage like coffee. I should have grabbed.
Eat a hot dog.
Hot dog? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I had one for breakfast, but not really a hot dog. One of those
brats?
Sauce, yeah, like a brat, I guess. Smoked brat. And I cut it up in little chunks and fry it up in butter and then make 3 eggs. And that's my breakfast.
That sounds
good, actually. Okay, so anyhow, get those lights down and we're gonna get going. We're gonna have a cool show tonight. So besides all the other crap I've been going through, I'm restoring a 1973 Suzuki TS250 Enduro Racer. Okay. And have you ever used a wire wheel on a drill, which is what I use to restore some of the parts? Not anymore.
It sounds manly.
Got one of those wires in my thumb.
Oh, no.
Bent it down deep, probably maybe a half inch, and it's still in there, and I can't get it out because the end of the wire bent sideways in my thumb.
Painful.
So it's slowly working its way out about maybe a 1/10 of an inch every day or two. But I can't grab it with the tweezers and pull it out. So it hurts.
Ouch.
But anyhow, so I've been working on this old motorcycle and all done. All I have to do is assemble it now. So I thought I could share. I sent you a couple of photos, what I'm working on. So this was a 50-year-old bike just covered in rust. Like it was, yeah. So you can show, I just like set the gas tank on again. It's all been at the body shop. These are all the parts at one end of my garage are all restored. Everything is like brand new again. I just got to put everything back together. Fun.
Cool.
Want to come over and help me?
I don't know if I want any things in my thumbs.
Oh, well, I'm not doing wire wheels anymore.
Yeah.
Well, the other weird thing is those wires bling off and they go all over your shop.
Oh no.
They're barefoot one day.
Oh, that's gonna be painful.
Worst wires started embedding in my feet. I got to sweep and really careful and never again. Never will use a wire wheel. Ever.
So you wouldn't recommend it?
No. Anyhow, so that's my mess. It's my project. I have remember I did the janky pontoon?
What happened to it?
I think that was last. I use it.
Yeah, but
It's in the back.
ready to go for the
It's
summer.
in storage now. So I'll get it out again. Spring. But what was I gonna say? I don't remember. No more wire wheels. I would say I have to have something I can go. All right, I'm taking a break from my desk and I gotta go just do a stand-up running around thing for half an hour. It keeps me busy.
Keeps you moving.
Keeps me moving. That's it. Moving. Key word. Oh, have you heard about this weird mall fiasco down in Miami? Did you hear?
Is that the one with all the cops?
Yeah, all the cops. People are claiming there were like 12-foot, 10-foot, I don't know, 8-foot aliens in the mall that like came out of a portal and were like disappearing and then reappearing, and crowds were running and cops showed up. I mean, this is a story. God knows.
Yeah.
Of course, the police story. The
did you
police
see
story, though, Alex, is just a bunch of kids were hitting each
Yeah,
other
I
with
know.
sticks. And I'm like, what? Sticks? So kids are hitting each other with sticks, and 100 police cars show up.
I know.
And they closed the Miami International Airport. And think about Chinook helicopters hovering above the mall.
for kids.
For kids hitting each other with sticks. I'm not quite buying that story.
No, it needs
There's
some
something more to it. I don't think we'll ever find out. It just won't. But it's kind of weird. It's just the whole story is so bizarre.
It is weird.
If you're going to make something up, it's like, well, I don't think you're going to make up giant aliens in the mall that disappear and reappear. And there was a video, 1A I sent you of the latest, and who knows if this is fake. Just skip right to about the halfway mark. Yeah, okay. So apparently this is like, well, maybe back a little bit further. Yeah, there you go. Keep going back. So you could see somebody claims they filmed this. Go ahead and play it. We don't want sound. They're claiming somebody had caught one of these portals opening up. You can see people running. Apparently it freaked people out. That's what they're saying. This could all be fake, what we're looking at here. But I don't know. Life's weird, man. What do you think?
Well, I saw the footage of all the police.
Yeah, we can take the video off. Thank you. Oh my God. It's why do people on YouTube think they need to talk louder and crazier and can tone it. They're all trying to emulate Mr. Beast or something. One of those, you know what I'm talking about, over energetic YouTubers. Yeah, thank you. If I ever get like that, please shoot me.
Will do.
Okay. So anyhow, so you don't have any thoughts? No thoughts.
I think it's the story is really fishy. The hundreds of police cars showed up for a couple kids. Yeah,
there's some reason that happened, and there's video of the so-called aliens too. But you thought that was blurry? You had to see how blurry those are.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of the supposed giant alien. I don't know
Yeah.
what to think of it.
Giant aliens.
Yeah.
And they were like shadow people.
Did you hear the power went out too? Was there something about that?
Pardon?
The
Yeah, oh
power
yeah, the
went out.
power went out too around the neighborhood. I mean, the whole thing is bizarre.
Mhm.
There is news video of this going on outside, helicopters and, I mean, as far as your eye can see. Now, you would think at some point you're just going to get in each other's way. Why do you need that many police cars?
Unless there's something
And how do you
really
get that
going
many
on.
all in a line? There's just something wholly weird about that whole thing.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, that's just weird. I'll just say that. So, on a happier note, what do you think the oldest animal in captivity is? How old is it? It's pretty amazing.
Oh, like a shark?
Well, it's in captivity right now, and it's the oldest animal in captivity. It's been documented. And it could be older than what I'm going to tell you. So just take a guess.
A tree?
No, an animal. Okay.
I thought plants were alive.
It's a big tortoise. It's its 191st birthday. Right? There you go.
That's incredible.
So there's photos of this thing in 1882 of this exact turtle in 1882.
That turtle's seen some stuff.
Yeah, think about that. So there's a photo of this turtle from 1882. That is so cool. 400-pound. It's called a Shalolian
Is that Gene Hackman?
tortoise, huh?
Is that Gene Hackman?
Apparently, yeah, it looks like Gene Hackman. Apparently, this tortoise is blind too, and he can't smell. Poor thing.
No!
But he's healthy. He
That's
has
a long
excellent
time.
hearing. He gets his way around by sound.
Okay.
But he was photographed in 1882. And he was fully grown in 1882. And it probably took him 30 years to get fully grown.
How long?
So, yeah, on a tortoise timeline, that means he was 50 years old in 1882.
Man. That is old.
Isn't that just cool?
Yeah.
So 1,500 people visit this turtle every year. Now, isn't that happy news versus mall aliens?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. I knew that.
Attacking them all.
Yeah. Oh, I do really appreciate everybody in chat. So, I'm not ignoring you. I do see you. Oh, thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Hi, Courtney. Hi, Sharon, Michael, Fetterman, Gina Productions, Greg Olson, Discover Sasquatch. I have a feeling that's Chris.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Patrick Noble. I mean, they're going by pretty quick here. So, anyhow. So, photo 2, let's throw that up. We'll get rid of the poor tortoise, who's older than I am, thank God. And there is another jaguar been recorded in Arizona. They are coming back. This is, they think, is the 8th one now living in the U.S.
Wow.
This is what we have. Look, this is why I don't like taking the garbage out at night.
This only takes one.
Yeah, it just takes one. Yeah. So they're gonna. Next thing you know, there's 20 of these, then 50, then 1,000. Next thing you know, they're in Minnesota. Right?
And then you're definitely not taking your trash out.
No, hell no. I have to have a bodyguard with me. So this, yeah. So they believe there's 173,000 jaguars left in the wild, which is cool. That's quite a few. See, I told you. That's what's going to happen here.
Yep. They're coming.
I mean, it's very possible we could have as many of these in the U.S. as cougars.
It's
possible. If there's enough food, they'll do fine.
Enough people taking their trash out at the wrong hour.
Yeah, enough people taking their trash out at night. Yep. Anyhow, so this is just photographed in the U.S. Yeah, what's cool is they can identify them with their rosette patterns.
That's cool. The patterns on there.
Boy, you put that up back. You put that back up really quick for me. I just gave you the look, and you read my mind.
I could sense it.
Okay, so last Saturday evening, I had a new buddy of mine, come over, and we ordered submarine sandwiches, tuna submarine sandwiches. And they were delicious from Jersey Mike's. They were absolutely amazing. They were awesome.
Oh,
but then I was reading same day about another tuna that sold for $750,000. Throw up photo 3.
That is so insane.
This exact tuna sold for $250,000, $789,000 to be exact, because of its freshness and vibrant color. So we talked about this a few weeks ago, but it gets better. Oh, by the way, the tuna weighed 524 pounds.
I'm getting there.
Okay, so now we can get rid of that. And a guy won $6 million because of a 612 pound, he won $6.2 million because he caught a huge white marlin at the 51st annual White Marlin Open. And the prize was $6,200,000. Why don't I hear about these things? Think about it. You go out fishing, you're having fun, and you just so happen you make $6 million. And there's probably maybe 200 boats competing against you.
Yeah, for $6
That's
million.
good odds, man.
I'll take those odds.
Oh my God, we are all in the wrong business.
I know.
We should be fishermen.
Yeah, but you've seen The Perfect Storm, right?
Yeah.
The movie?
Yeah, with George Clooney.
Yeah, it didn't end so well.
No. I've been in some of those perfect storms.
Oh my gosh.
I've been on Lake Superior in the gales of November. I've been in Mexico in just massive waves where I went around and tied everybody to the deck.
Oh no.
Me had to
That's
tie people to the
terrifying.
deck. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah. Fun stuff, man. A lot of stories about rough oceans. Okay. But anyhow, I just think that would be I couldn't imagine just fishing for tuna every day. It's like, we caught 5 today. We only made 20 million today. Fishing, no biggie. Okay. So bamboo is kind of in the news. And I thought about it because, I noticed anything with bamboo, I always read. I don't know why. The publisher of the LMS book for Dr. Jeff Meldrum that wrote Let You Meet Science book was Boo Bam Productions. The opposite of bamboo. Boo Bam. Look in your book. It says Boo Bam Productions.
That's funny. That's
or
clever.
Publishing. Boo Bam Publishing.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so I like bamboo, but there's apparently they're using computers, and there's all these 3D cutters and things, and they're starting. This company is deciding to use bamboo versus like pine, like 2x4s for construction. So they're building whole houses out of bamboo, and apparently it's as stronger, could help shape the future home building. Put up photo 4 if you have it. There we go. See, isn't that a boring picture?
It looks just like wood almost, just regular wood.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about this is called Bamcor, this company. And bamboo is nature's fastest growing, strongest structural fiber wood. And it is strong. It's amazing. You ever used a bamboo pole, cane pole made out of bamboo?
No, that sounds fun.
Well, I did when I was a kid, man. I'm sure that thing's still around somewhere, unbroken. And they work really, really well. But anyhow, so they're going to be making homes out of bamboo through Bamcor.
That's sweet.
I think it's kind of cool. Why not?
I know. Yeah. I mean,
why just pine? It's so heavy. And
I know.
Yeah.
It doesn't grow fast, right?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Well, it's kind of medium growing.
No, we need the fast growing.
Yeah. NASA is to unveil a new X-59 quiet supersonic jet on January 12th, which is 2 days. So this is going to be made public in 2 days. And apparently they figured out a way to quiet it down. So when it breaks the sound barrier, it sounds like a car door shutting. So as this thing flies over, you'll hear a car door shut. You'll go, oh, Jim's home. Oh, Ilse's home. But it'll be a jet flying over this supersonic jet.
It's crazy. Look at that thing.
Made by Lockheed Martin. They're finally ready to unveil it. Yeah, I'm like, of course, I'm thinking they've had this probably for 30 years flying. They never release anything until they have something better.
Yeah.
They never do. But as soon as they have something better, this could have been made, I'm guessing, at least 20 years ago. Done, finished, tested. Yeah, guaranteed.
This is old hat.
Old hat. Yeah, very old hat. And that's all we ever get is old hat. But apparently it's designed to fly at supersonic speeds and reduce the typical sound of sonic booms, lowering the volume down to a thump, similar to the sound of a car door slamming. So there you go. Well, I bring this up, which is good timing, because what we're going to talk about later. A little bit coming up.
Okay, awesome.
So let's do a couple of dumb jokes, dad jokes.
Let's do it.
Like I was saying when you push the button,
I know.
I'll probably get off this kick at some point. I'll replace it with something. I don't know. Tuna. It'll be tuna time every week.
Tuna time.
I'll just announce the biggest tuna sale every week instead of dad jokes. Anyhow, go ahead and play joke one.
What'd the right eye say to the left eye? Between you and me, something smells. A perfectionist walks into a bar. Apparently the bar wasn't set high enough.
All right. Was that it?
Is that it?
I think that's it on that one. Joke two. I'm going to read. Kelly Tour, Facebook friend, sent this to me. I'm going to read this damn thing. Okay, this is a true dad joke to my son Alex. Compliments Kelly Tour. Okay. It is said that Bigfoot can grow up to 10 feet. But usually they just have 2.
10 feet.
Pretty funny, huh?
Yeah.
Nope. Anyhow, last one, dad joke you can play, joke 3.
My mom just found out I replaced her bed with a trampoline. She hit the roof. Someone told me the other day I had a booger in my nose. I said, it's not.
Did you hear about the gardener who went crazy? He was hearing voices in his shed.
In his shed. Okay, that's enough of that crap. That's enough of that. All right. We're moving right into trivia. Tell me when our 2 amazing Bigfoot.
They're back there. They're back there.
Oh, they're good. All right. Hi, Don. Hi, Ricardo. We'll get to you in just a sec here. So, Untold trivia. But I want to play a video before we do that. because it's going to be, our trivia is going to be about the Concorde jet. But I love the Concorde jet. And it was the Concorde jet that probably got me to believe in UFOs. And here's why. I'm going to play this video and you'll understand. It's amazing. This is film. Go ahead and play, if you can, the video I sent you, video 1. Do you have it?
Yep.
And you can skip ahead if you want, or you can just play in the damn thing. This was the footage that got me into really believing UFOs were real when I was young. So this is a promotional film they were doing. They were filming the Concorde. And then something happened during their filming of this promotional film, as I remember. And it's going to cut to this side shot here. Look at the UFO circling around this thing. Did you see that?
Yeah, right by the nose.
And of course, Kodak goes, oh, it's a lens flare. And I'm thinking, well, then why do I see the ball in front of the damn thing? But this, whether it's a real UFO, an orb, or whatever it is, or it's a lens flare, that was the piece of footage that really convinced me, because I studied it and convinced me that these things were real. Skip ahead, and I think they show a close-up. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
NASA recorded the same thing of one of their spacecraft, of the same object up in space, too. Yeah, there we go. Some enhancements on it. So, there you go. And what do you know about the Concorde jet? Because it never was around when you've been alive.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
Well, do you know anything? Like nothing? Have
No.
you ever heard of it?
I think it's been, used in like a few songs.
What? Oh my God. Okay. The Concorde jet was a passenger jet that was supersonic that you could take. It was made by Air France. And you could get like from New York to Europe pretty damn quick, right? And then suddenly it just disappeared. Yeah, and there was a crash. And I think that obviously doesn't help in airplane design.
No.
But what caused the crash? I have my suspicions because I just showed you that UFO thing.
Yeah.
UFOs, for some reason, are attracted to anything supersonic, including our military jets.
I see.
Why is it then, okay, let's say it was too loud, or let's say it was unreliable. Why has it been 20 some years since that thing's been retired? Why? Why have they not improved airlines at all? Why did we in the 70s have this supersonic technology and now we don't?
It's never gotten better.
Yeah.
That bugs me.
It's kind of like going to the moon in the 60s, but we don't go there now.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. So there's just something fishy about the whole Concorde story, the whole supersonic thing. So I wanted to get into Concorde trivia. So go ahead and play your little. Yeah, did you see Alex come alive there? All right. Question 1. When was the first flight of the Concorde supersonic jet, Alex? 1969. I'm going to give you choices. 1969, 1959, or 1974. 69, 59, or
59.
Wrong. It was 1969.
Oh, okay.
First flight. Okay. When was the Concorde project started? Was it the 1940s, the 1960s, or the 1950s?
The 60s?
It was 1950s. Remember what I told you about? They're always and they're
Yeah.
developing these things. So it was like 20 years later it was debuted.
So you think they were using it before
Of
they
course they were using it way before then.
released?
Probably
Like,
not for a passenger
yeah,
jet. But I guarantee
military.
the actual body of whatever. Yeah, of course. Until they got something better, which was probably the one that I showed earlier, replaced the Concorde. When they retired this one, that's when the other one took over. But they're acting like now this new one is new, but it's not new. It's already old. You got me, right? It's way behind.
Yeah.
All right. So I think most people would probably agree with me on that. What was the average time of the Concorde's transatlantic flight, right, from, like New York to Europe?
Oh,
And I'll give you choices.
okay.
2.5 hours, 5 hours, 3.5 hours.
5 hours?
3.5. So you go from New
Whoa.
York to Europe in 3 hours. Yeah, 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours?
Yeah.
Well, that is fast.
Yeah, and so why haven't they, why
I'd like
don't
to
we
do
have
that.
supersonic flight? And they say, let's just say the loud excuse. Who in the hell's living in the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean to hear it? You just slow down. Get below supersonic speed before you land.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is what I don't get. Yeah, that's why it's all fishy to me. Okay, when was the Concorde #1 equipped with the observation instruments to measure the solar eclipse? Was it 1972, 1981, or 73?
Was it 72?
It's 1973.
Oh.
And I'm sure, why would they take a passenger plane and equip it to observe the solar eclipse? It doesn't make sense, right?
No.
It's the whole thing. It's just, I just love it. So what was applied to the Concorde aircraft during banks and turns due to its high speeds? Was it steering torque, rudder blades, or large forces?
Rudder blades?
Nope. Large forces.
Oh.
And I can't multitask. You should be watching the chat and seeing who's right.
I should be.
And
Plus I can get the
We're
answer.
ignoring our geniuses here. It's probably like somebody getting everyone right.
Help me out here.
Okay. How many people were lost to the 2002 fatal accident involving the Concorde? It was flight 4590. Was it 221 people, 113, or 300?
200.
113 people. 113 souls lost.
That could have been worse.
It doesn't work that way. There's no level of worse when it comes to plane crash.
No. But you think they would have fixed the design,
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's what retired it.
Yeah.
That was their excuse to retire it. But there were some photos of Concorde jets I've seen with dents in the nose or dents on them from hitting orbs. It's pretty interesting.
Whoa.
Okay. What was the hottest part of the Concorde jet besides the engines? Was it the nose, the wings, or the tail? It's beside the engines.
The wings.
The wings. It was the nose.
Oh, the nose.
Nose. Yeah, that's where the most friction was.
I waited for Jen and
Who got it right? Yeah, Michael got it right.
Jen, Michael.
Okay, what was the time of the fastest transatlantic supersonic flight ever? Was it 2.8 hours, 2 hours, and 52 minutes and 50? Now, 2.8 hours. That's one possibility. 3.1 or 2.85. 2.8, 3.1, or 2.85 hours.
2.85.
No, it was 2.8 hours. You haven't got one right, Alex. That's good. Yeah. And that's it. That's it. So, perfect score. You got a perfect score in trivia tonight.
But I
Yeah.
learned things.
And you learned, yeah.
I learned things.
Everybody guessed 2.8.
I learned to wait for Deborah.
Now you know all about the
Sonic
Supersonic Concorde jet made by Air France.
that I can't ride.
That you can't ride because UFOs follow them. The supersonic
Smash
jets.
into them.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Doug's clip. I'm trying to rush. What do we have for time? Oh, geez, I don't know what happens to time. It goes so quick. Clip 1. Let's get into your clips.
Okay.
All right.
You coming back?
I'm here.
I'm
Clip
gonna get a
one.
little lonely.
Clip, I know we don't want Alex lonely. Clip 1, no sound is needed. This is probably the highest paying labor jobs that you're going to ever see right here. This is just amazing. We were talking about rough seas, working on an oil platform.
Oh my God.
It is high. It is scary. Everything about the maintenance is just dangerous. But if you want to go make probably $150K a year, go be a welder on an oil platform. Jesus.
Oh
yeah,
my
just
gosh.
nuts. I've known a few people that worked on oil platforms and scary stuff, man. They're just massive. All right, enough of that. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Freaky.
Yeah, that's what Alex does all day. Hangs in midair from giant chains. Wasn't that the longest link you've ever seen in your life? The link for that video?
Yes.
I was like, why was that one so long? Clip 2, the sound is good. This is how all of us will get our houses painted in the future, right? This is a robot. What could go wrong when a robot using AI paints your house? There you go. Play it. What could possibly go wrong here?
Okay, off to a good start. Okay, it's getting everything ready.
It's like our digital cutters at work,
Yeah.
They all line up and they're really quick. Just watch.
Okay. All right. It's recalibrating. Okay.
Could you imagine? We know we didn't even shut it off, right?
Oh no. Oh no. That's not working.
Something's going wrong here. And then start spraying it on the floor and the ceiling. Oh my God.
Well,
All right.
Well, painters better be worried. That thing's going to take their job.
Clip 3 actually is a man whose dad was a police officer. Once again, if this clip is not fake, he's talking to his dad who's a cop. Go ahead and play clip 3 with the sound. It's about that Bayside Mall and the alien thing.
How have I not heard about this? My dad's a police officer in Miami. And I mean, like, he's even running for sheriff. And I just talked to him. He didn't say anything about that. Hey, did you, have you been seeing the alien stuff? Did you see that at Bayside? Are you serious? You're joking. You're joking. Did they tell you not to talk about it? Can you at least say like whatever? So okay, so they're saying it's like a fight broke out. Why did they send so many police cars? Are you serious? You can't say any. You're no help, dude.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? You're no help. So is that all staged? I don't know. I mean, he's saying my dad's running for sheriff, and I mean, he's almost giving away who his dad is.
I know.
So I don't know.
If I was his dad, I'd be pissed.
It seemed pretty legit, but who knows? But his dad didn't say anything. So
no.
But why doesn't his dad just say, "Oh no, it's just some teenagers fighting with sticks"? All right. Clip 4, sound is good. Don't play it. Have you ever seen two eagles lock talons?
No.
Well, this is going to happen. You're going to see it now. Go ahead.
Wow.
Play it again. That is kind of a wow, isn't it?
Wow. Wow, these guys should go to weddings.
Yeah, Alex was totally unimpressed. Okay, clip 5, moving on. No sound on this. This is what I call magic sand. And it's when you get phytoplankton in wet sand, and it happens to be the glowing type, right? And this is amazing. It really is. Tell me that isn't so cool.
That is super cool.
I'm drinking mineral water right now. Natural mineral water with carbonation. Remind me never to do that again while you're doing a podcast. It's making me burpy.
Oh, no.
That's it.
That's it.
We're done.
All right. Shall we go to a break?
Yeah, we take a real quick break, and then we're going to go to Ricardo and Don Schneider.
Awesome.
Hanger One Publishing. Books that explore the unknown.
They're after my story.
Legends leap off the pages of our books.
You think you're the only one? They're under my heels too.
From UFOs to cryptids, Bigfoot and beyond.
Who's behind all this?
Hanger One Publishing, where every legend is revealed.
It's Hanger One Publishing. They're unraveling all of our mysteries.
Dive in, real videos, sights and sounds with our immersive book technology.
I guess our secrets are out now.
But in the best possible way.
From Bigfoot tracks to galactic trails, we cover it all.
We should get out of here before it's too late.
You're right, let's plan.
Escaping reality? Dive into ours. Hanger One Publishing, revealing the universe's best-kept secrets, one book at a time.
Hey, Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
We are back. So, let me introduce our guests. Ricardo Sanchez has seen a Bigfoot. Okay, that's one of the things we're going to talk about.
Oh, awesome.
He's done research in other states with Don. Believe it or not, they know each other. They're friends. Don says that Ricardo is literally an incredible guy with great insights, and he's an incredible man, and he has done research all over the USA. He's very credible. So Don stakes his reputation on what you're going to hear from Ricardo tonight. And guest Don Schneider has done podcasting, which is how I met Don, on a channel called The Unacknowledged. I love that name. I mean, it really is a cool name.
I love it.
I'm going to steal it from you, Don. And researches all over the USA, and he also is a witness. And he's got a lot of stories, too.
Perfect.
So let's welcome Don and Ricardo.
Hey, guys.
There we got Don, and I see Ricky. Ricky, I like it. The informal name. So okay, Ricky, you're in isn't it
Tennessee?
I forgot what state you're in, Ricky.
Tennessee.
And Don, what state are you in?
I'm in Illinois.
Illinois, okay. And what part of Illinois are you in?
I'm about an hour and 45 minutes from Chicago, just southwest of Chicago.
And that's actually a Bigfoot area, isn't it? I mean, there's bluffs and limestone and hills and woods and it's and it connects to that part of Iowa too, where that little part where they have Bigfoot sightings. Correct?
Well, yeah, there are Bigfoot sightings in more places in Iowa than I can even remember.
Oh.
But there's also the watershed that goes through my area where there's been a lot of BFRO sightings in the area I live in. I'm probably about not even 4 or 5 minutes away from areas where people are having sightings from my small town I live in. So it's pretty common around here, even though people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Well, how in the world did you guys end up doing research together? Ricky, do you want to answer that?
I think it was I went down towards Illinois. Through an acquaintance that we do know, is how we met.
So you met through some acquaintance, and you guys have done how many little expeditions together? How many have you done together, Ricky?
Oh man, pretty hard to count now. It's been several in different parts: Wisconsin, Illinois, several.
Oh, okay.
Don has even come to my property as well, and in other parts of Tennessee, we've done some. So it's been a few. It's been a ride, that's for sure.
Ooh, now you said something that I glammed onto. You said my property. Do you have activity?
Yeah.
In your? Oh, really? Ooh, that's a whole. That's a whole cool deal.
That's yeah, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, I see the big smile on your face when I mention that. Yeah. So what's going on? Okay, first let's just do an abbreviated explanation. What's going on your property?
I got both. I got Dogman and Bigfoot. I've gotten pictures of Bigfoot footprints and Dogman footprints. Vocalizations. I got a picture or a video of eye shine. More than one video of eye shine. That multiple times a year. The dogs being messed with sometimes, especially because of one particular dog. Me having to stop them from going towards one of the dogs. Them messing with me after Don left last time he was down at the property. Several things. It's a constant thing at the property. They live there. So I just bought the property not too long ago, and when I found out that I did have cryptids, so I just began to like jot down what time one came in and what time the other one came in, and then they would come around and they would do little things, vocalizations. I think the first time I realized I had a Bigfoot, that I really knew I had a Bigfoot, I was taking out the dogs and one clapped behind me. And when I say clap behind me, I mean I could have thrown a wiffle ball into the woods and I would have hit it. So it was like really close to me, and it clapped his hands. And then I knew, well, time out. Now I know what that is. But then, like I never paid much attention to it. I had already, been researching cryptids, so I didn't even shrug my shoulders. I heard it, walked around, enclosed the dog, came back, acknowledged them, got in my van, and went to work.
Have they ever messed with your house at all? Banged on your home?
When Don came a day before I arrived. So my van had a problem. So it was at the shop next to where I worked. And Don was coming down. So I told Don, hey, listen, get to the property. This is the address. You can stay in the cabin, do whatever you want to do. So he got there the day before that I arrived. So I text Don, hey, Don, are you alive the day after? And let's just say, according to Don, through the text messages, they tapped on the cabin, tapped under the baseboards, surrounded him, howled at him, and then when I got home, everything kind of calmed down. And every time I would leave, something would happen. And then I would come back. Apparently, they didn't like Don very much at the property.
Well, I can see why, So I didn't know this was going to end up being a Dogman show too, but whatever. I don't know anything about Dogman except, I've talked to witnesses, and boy, I'll tell you, you talk to these witnesses, they're not veering off on their story. How do you know it's Dogman?
Huh? Oh, I've seen dog. That's how I started into really research. So I've always been into cryptids. And my first cryptid that I've ever seen close up was a Bigfoot. But on the second property that I rented in Wisconsin, where I used to live, my neighbor was the one that alerted me that the cryptids, or the things that I was seeing at the time, the odd things that I was seeing at the time, was a Dogman. And that, because I had my family there, I had a child, the idea of, moving wasn't an option. So I began my deep research into Dogman because I couldn't find any information on the internet when it comes to, things to do and things not to do. Mm-hmm. And I was, that led me into the deep dive when it comes to behaviors. All this time when it comes to Dogman, the only thing that I've looked into has been behavioral wise, what they do, how they do it, and why they do it. And the purpose was basically, it was a purpose for me to keep myself safe and to keep my family safe. With very little information on the internet about them, I needed to know what to do and what not to do. Because in Wisconsin, I live next to the Horicon Marsh, so there were 5 of them. So it wasn't a one-time deal of coming in. Every weekend, you'd see one or see the group or have something happen.
No, okay, Ricky, we gotta back the truck up here. So, okay, we're gonna get to you too, Don, here in a second here. Okay, so you've seen more than one of these things. Seen them with your eyes. In Wisconsin, even, correct?
Yes, I've seen them multiple times at the property.
Wow. It looks like Ricky locked up. Oh,
kind of lost you there.
No, you're locking up once in a while. Somebody's probably watching a movie in the neighborhood, stealing all your bandwidth. Okay. So you've seen these damn things.
Yes, me and my neighbor have seen them. where we lived in Wisconsin.
Wow. Okay. So then you moved to Tennessee, and you have them there
Mhm.
too. Why did you buy
Yes.
the property? Why did you buy the property in Tennessee? What was the?
I wanted to get out of the city. I was a correctional officer for probably 10 years, and my wife wanted to leave the cold weather. So we looked around different states, and we ended up buying in Tennessee. It just happens that we bought a property that was untouched. So we had to put the light, and we had to get all these permits for everything.
So it's like wooded. I would imagine it's wooded.
Oh yeah, it's 10.5 acres in the middle of more woods. So there's no houses around me.
Oh wow. And so Don, so you were there at Ricky's homestead. He's gone. You're home in his home, and you're being bothered by something. You probably don't know what it is. What other things did they do while Ricky's gone?
Well, that was the interesting part. I won't say he tried to prepare me. Ricky just told me, you'll probably have activity. And then he actually had patterned them. He says, well, one type will come in at 1 o'clock p.m. a.m., excuse me. And the other type will, referring to Bigfoot, will float through around 3 a.m. or later.
Wow.
And I took it with a grain of salt. I said, okay, we'll see what happens. I'm just sort of I'm like a guy from Missouri. I have to prove it to myself. So I was there, got there in the afternoon. He told me how to get into his cabin. So I basically got into his cabin. No electric, no water, no plumbing, no nothing. So I had a flashlight hanging in there, and I just threw my bedroll down on the floor, decided to go to bed. And sure enough, right around, I'd say a few minutes before midnight, I hear barks in the distance. And then they got closer, and I assumed it was just the neighbor's dog. Of course, his neighbor is pretty far down, quite a ways away from where he lives. So at that point, I just disregarded it. And then about 12:30, 12:45, not even 45 minutes later, there's a power pole about 40 feet from the front door of Ricky's cabin. And I had turned the lights off, and I only had a flashlight hanging there. And thank God I had my FLIR. I had a thermal camera ready. I had it turned on, and it was at standby. And I hear this scream, howl. It was very hard to describe. It was like a combination of several vocalizations in one. And I immediately jumped up out of my bedroll. I'm in my boxers and my shorts and a t-shirt, and I run and I open his cabin door. Now, mind you, it was probably 45 degrees out. It was fairly cold.
Okay, that doesn't sound like the brightest thing to do there, Don.
No, I've always thrown caution to the wind. That's just me. And I'm still alive to talk about it. But I caught this thing, the eyes especially showed up on thermal. There was a bunch of raspberry bushes and brush behind this power pole. And this thing was like crouching behind the power pole, moving from left to right. And then it went back from right to left and faded back, and then eventually stood up. And I estimated it had to be well over 7.5 feet. But when it was crouching, and so I assumed this was a creature doing the screaming, because it actually, it made me, I almost jumped out of my bedroll. I mean, it was so loud. It was almost like, and I told Ricky this later, I said, I got the impression it was saying, who the hell is in Ricky's cabin? Like I wasn't supposed to be there. So I felt I was an uninvited guest. And he later on came back the next day following that morning episode. And I believe a day or two later, he said, well, I have to go back to work. He says, I'll be back later. And while he was gone, I decided to walk down his driveway to a spot where I thought I saw the grass along the driveway had been patted down. And I thought, boy, this looks like a perfect place for a sentry or a sentinel.
Okay, is this at night still? You're walking out there in your box?
Oh, no, this is during the daytime.
Oh,
this
good. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was questioning your sanity there for a minute.
A lot of people do. But I walked down there. It was like he had gone to work. He was going to be back later that morning or early afternoon. And I thought, well, I'm going to take a walk down this driveway. His driveway, I don't know, 3/4 of a mile long, 5/8 of a mile. It's a very long driveway. And it sort of snakes its way through a wooded area. And I saw some spots along the driveway where there was brush on either side, where the brush had been packed down or tamped down like a deer had curled up.
Right.
And I've seen deer beds before. This didn't strike me as a deer bed. And I thought, well, there must be a fall. My knowledge has got to the point where I know where Bigfoot will actually set up and watch you. They always have a fallback position from that location. So if you walk up on it, they're gone. So I told Ricky later what happened to me. I said, yeah, I walked up to this area along the driveway where they can hear people pull up and turn into your driveway. And I says, and I thought, what if there's a fallback position 30 feet behind it, 30, 40 feet behind it, where they can get into the trees and the brush, and there's a ravine behind there I didn't know about. So I have my camera in my hand, turned off, and I start walking, circling around this little area where the brush is patted down. And I get within 15, 20 feet of that position, and it was like something exploded out of the brush. I saw just a flicker of just a narrow stripe of like black. That's all I saw. Just a narrow streak of black, like a shirt tail almost. And it exploded. And I almost wet myself. I say I was it surprised the heck out of me. So when it exploded and took off away from me, I didn't follow it. It disappeared down to this ravine because I remember seeing beyond the brush where it exploded out of this 3 and 4 foot tall brush. I saw the brush just separate and this thing explode faster than any deer or any other animal I've ever surprised. And I've been doing this for going on 44 years now. So I waited till Ricky got back and I said, let's go for a walk. And I took him to that location. And I said, no, I want to walk to the spot where this thing exploded out of. And there we found 2 holes, shallow holes dug in the ground. And one had a short stick laying in it. And probably a 2.5, 3 foot long stick laying in one of the holes, like using it as a tool, like chimpanzees do. And the other hole was adjacent to it, maybe a few feet away. In this thing, we surmised it had been sitting there, whatever, digging for grubs, doing whatever. And I guess when I walked up on it, it probably thought I was going to stop at some point. But sometimes I'm not smart enough to be afraid. So I walked up on it, and I had my camera off, and I never was able to capture it on camera. So that was one of those occurrences.
So it could have been a Bigfoot, correct?
It could have been, yes, it could have been a Bigfoot. It could have been that other creature I'm not too familiar with, but I've casted footprints of dogmen, but I've never seen one. But I've been with Ricky where I've heard these calls, vocalizations, and he goes, yes, that's them. And I says, I never knew what that was. I always dismissed it as a coyote on steroids. I didn't know what it was.
Does this sound have like 2 tonal qualities at the same time, as David Ellis pointed out? This dual tonality?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. When I was at the cabin and heard that, yes, when I heard that scream outside the door of his cabin, it was like It was a two-tonal quality. It was like a scream, yell combination. I've heard Bigfoot before, but I wasn't sure this was a Bigfoot. If it was a very good mimic of some other creature that I've never heard before.
Okay, did this thing ever try to get into into Ricky's house? Was there any like door activity or any window activity?
Well, Ricky, you can tell them about the deal with the wood and the planks under your cabin. That was rather
all right.
curious.
All right, Ricky, you're on.
When Don left, again, this is speculation because I can't get into their minds. I'm assuming they didn't like the fact that Don and I were at nighttime outside making noises, right? Normally, the night's theirs. I might go outside once in a while at nighttime. I'll hear them around or whatever. But for the most part, I leave the night to them. So the fact that we changed that up and we were doing bonfires and being out with the thermals, whatever, I'm assuming they didn't like that. So when Don left, I would get home, and by 10:30, let's say, I would be in bed. And as soon as I laid down, I can hear a massive ruckus, because I had some crates and some wood and whatnot in the back of the cabin. And it sounded like if they were just tossing that around, moving it, tapping on it, just like making a huge ruckus. And I have that on audio as well, because I recorded it. And this went on for a whole week. Now, at around 4:30 in the morning, I would wake up. And the cabin has a window on the opposite side of where I was sleeping. And one morning around 4 o'clock, the noises came from that side of the window or that side of the cabin. And that's when I realized that it wasn't that they were moving anything. It was actually vocalizations that they were doing, mimicking like if they were moving stuff. Because on that side of the cabin, there was nothing besides woods. So it's all wooded. There was nothing there that they could have moved. And the noises were coming from that side of the cabin. So then I realized, oh, you guys are just making vocalizations trying to get me up at nighttime when I'm trying to sleep because I've been out all this time when Don was there. That was my assumption. And after the week, they stopped doing that whole messy thing. Later on, I did some Plains Indian Sign Language, which I got the idea from another researcher. I can't tell you it worked or not. All I will say is they haven't bothered me. I did leave not too long ago. I did leave for 3 days. I came back, and it sounded when I got to, because I have several dogs, so I park in front of the kennels to feed them and make sure they're okay, and then drive back up into the cabin. So from that position, I was hearing them, like, again, it sounded like if they were taking 2x4s and making them a ruckus with them. And I was in the van.
Okay. Well, just hang on. So they're taking like a stick of some sort, piece of wood, and they're using it against your cabin, like on the siding.
It sounded this time out. It sounded like that's what they were doing because I'm constructing, so I got a bunch of 2x4s. So it sounded like if they were just tossing the 2x4s, So think construction site and people tossing 2x4s on top of the other.
Okay. Well,
so that's what it sounds.
The reason I bring it up is because we were up at Snowgrove last summer, and something grabbed a long stick or a 2x4 or some damn thing and went boom, 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 boom on the cabin, up on the joists, and it woke people up. So it was just like, why are you doing that? It was like to wake us up. So that's what you felt like. This was trying to wake you.
Yes. It was trying to make me not go to sleep because at 10:30 when after Don left, by 10:30 I'd be in bed ready to go to sleep to get up and go back to work.
Yeah.
And as soon as I laid my head down, it's like they knew, they can sense. The second I went down, they began doing this ruckus. It was like an automatic thing.
Are you in your
And that's what
cabin right? Are you in the cabin right now?
No, I'm outside. If I was in the cabin, I wouldn't have signal.
Oh, you're actually just out, so you could be eating live right now.
Oh no, because I'm in the closest town next to where I live, which is 30 minutes away.
Okay. All right. I just thought you're out. You should have lied. You should have said, "Yeah, I'm outside I could be
At
eating
any moment.
At any moment here."
But look, if I had good signal at the cabin, the show would have probably been with things being thrown or movement or something. Because every time I'm outside, they're always wondering why am I outside and not inside?
That's crazy. Okay, so they trying to wake you up. So have you ever tried to get in your doorknob turns or anything like that? Anything experienced in that level? No. Okay.
No. One day I came home, and don't ask me why I did this, because it was. And I don't even know why I did this. I was driving up the driveway, and I had this thing about sometimes practicing driving without my lights on. So I was driving up the driveway
that sounds
slowly.
Like a smart thing to do. I said, that sounds like a smart thing to do. Alex, do you ever practice driving without your headlights on? Don't do it. Don't anybody.
I mean, I'm kind of dying to 40.
It gets interesting though sometimes. But I was doing it, and I was coming up towards the cabin. All of a sudden, I turned the headlights on, because I'm already almost at the cabin. And when I turned them on, there was one looking through the window. And as soon as the headlights turned on, apparently it didn't sense that I was coming, and it just turned, looked at me, and ran. Like it took off like lightning.
What did you see exactly? Describe it.
Oh, it was a Bigfoot. His hair was like a black, but with tints of gray. So on the headlamps, on the headlights of the van, you can see the tints. I won't say like a silverback type color because it was complete, but it had more black than gray. It was bulky. That guy in particular was doing a lot of exercise while he was younger. If he is an older one, size wise, I'd say if it's the window, probably about 7 to 8 feet tall. Very muscular, but he had a lot of hair. Not like the one I saw in Wisconsin had how do you say, closer hair towards the chest and stomach and the elbows. So you knew that he was like rather laying down, or the hair there just didn't grow. This guy had hair the same length all over from top to bottom. And again, he had round shoulders, and I do have a picture of with the eye shine, and you can see the round shoulder. I mean, I'm assuming it's the same one because of the gray tint that it has. And you can see the round shoulder, and it was just. I can't say it was the same as the one in Wisconsin, but it was just large, wide, not as big as the one in Wisconsin. The one in Wisconsin was wide and big, but this one was. I'm assuming he was a juvenile, but he was. It's hard to explain it. He just had the medium sized hair, all over, and obviously big calves. It happened so quick, and at nighttime, I can't really describe anything else feature wise.
Well, what else could
besides them running away?
Yeah, it couldn't have been anything else, right? I mean, there's nothing else.
Oh no, it wasn't a dog man. No, it wasn't a dog man. Dog man looked totally different from Bigfoot. So I know for a fact it was a Bigfoot when the headlights went up, because it did turn around because it was facing into the window. Apparently, it was trying to look inside, and when it turned sideways, you could obviously see it was a Bigfoot. But it was that was the only occasion that I know of. Obviously, me sleeping, I won't know if they were looking through the windows or not. But that I'm aware of, that's been the only time that it's been looking through the windows.
And so you're
now
nice.
I have an app that records me.
I was going to say, Ricky, so you're nice enough to invite Don to come to your homestead, knowing you have monsters living outside there.
Yeah.
And you're not even home, and there's no electricity. It sounds like a horror movie.
It was, yeah. Everybody thought I was, you're going on vacation at Ricky's new homestead, Tennessee. And I go,
that sounds nice.
No,
yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah,
sure.
I said, it's not a cakewalk. People act like it's a, my family said, oh, enjoy yourself. It's a vacation. I said, it's not a vacation. I said, it's a lot of struggle, no heat, no running water. I says, if you have to go outside in the middle of the night, I got used to taking a mason jar with me inside his cabin for obvious reasons. Because
well, we did that in Snellgrove too. Yeah, that's a smart thing to do, and you feel like, ooh, I'm smart.
It is a very smart thing to do, Doug. Yes. Me and Ricky have done this on several of our expeditions in the field where we're out with tents. And I just tell him, I says, those are the nights where you don't have a full moon or a partial moon, and you can't even see your hand in front of your face. I says, I'm not going to unzip the tent and just walk out 20, 30, 40 feet or further beyond my tent and just hope that I'm left alone.
Gosh.
And so in his cabin, I kept telling him, I'm going to sleep at the time he was building his cabin, and he was going to start putting walls in and roughing it in for the plumbing. I'm in there they had just brought the cabin in, leveled it off, and dropped it off there. And so I was like, I put a couple 3 cinder blocks up to his front door so I could, I didn't have to make a giant leap to get into his front door. So I could walk up these makeshift steps that I saw some cinder blocks laying around. And later on, I said, I'm going to sleep on the side of the cabin where you only have one window. The only other window is the window in the door. And he sort of said, oh, okay, good luck with that. And I was under the impression that somebody could walk up that at the 8 foot level and could just stare right in the window. Because when I stood outside the cabin, I had to reach up with my hand all the way above my head to touch the bottom ledge of the window.
Mm.
So when he told me later on, he says, like pulling up my driveway with the headlights off. And he says, when I flicked them on, I saw that creature standing there in front of the window looking in. And I thought, wow, I'm glad I wasn't there that day.
I want to know why you're even friends with this guy at this point. I wouldn't even talk to him again if I showed up in the middle of the night at a dark cabin with nothing in it, dogman monsters roaming out there, and he ain't even there. It's like,
he kept telling me, I says, I'm going to be there, whatever day it was. I was going to be there on a Thursday or Friday mid-morning, right before noon. And he goes, well, my van's broke down. I'm in Nashville. I says, I won't be there probably till later tonight or probably tomorrow. He says, you're on your own. I says, well, how do I get in the cabin? So he told me how to get in the cabin. And I thought, well, I'll rough it. At least I'm not in a tent. But had he been there, I was going to throw a tent outside. That's just how but we've been doing research up to that point for 5-6 years. I thought, well, this is just another situation we've been in before. The one in Wisconsin was even more interesting, I thought, because we believed that we had Bigfoot, the juveniles, roaming through our camp there were 4 guys, each with their own tent. And the 5th guy, he left a day or 2 early. Mitch did.
He was a smart one.
He was a smart one. Yeah. He had to drive back to Colorado. But I was like, next morning we get up, we were there for almost 5 days, and it was 5 nights and almost 6 full days. And it was on the third night, we we all experienced something, but whatever this creature was, and we believe it was a juvenile Bigfoot. Ricky was in a tent 8 or 9 feet south of my tent. There was another tent about 20 feet from mine, and the fourth guy was a little further back. And you talked about, people talk about when they turn the lights on, right after they turn the light on or right after they turn the light off, there will be activity. Well, I had nature call at about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I pulled out my handy Gatorade bottle to use it, and had to turn my tent light on.
Yeah.
And after I turned the tent light on, did my thing, reached up, turned the tent light off, and laid down on my right side. Within 15, 20 seconds of turning that tent light off and laying down, I heard thump, 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 something bipedal walk up to the back of my tent. And then I felt what appeared to be, or felt like, a hand, not a fist, but a hand, push through the wall of my tent against the middle of my back and roll me over onto my stomach. I mean, it was forceful. And meanwhile, I'm trying to suppress the urge to yell, scream. Ricky was within 9 feet of, and I had a little mountain tent, which if I lay on my back, I'm only 5'10". I can touch both the back and front wall of this tent with both arms. It's a very small tent. And so this thing picked the smallest tent of all 4 tents to pick on me. And later on, I told Ricky, I says, maybe he thought there was a kid in this tent, and I fit that bill.
And it rolled you over.
It pushed me and rolled me over onto my stomach.
And what did you feel exactly? I mean, could you feel the size of the hands, or?
It felt like a hand, maybe a little bigger than mine, but that happened to be a night where we had a severe overcast clouds and we were expecting rain, so you could not see at nighttime. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. It was dark, and I'm thinking to myself, are one of my 3 researchers in this camp here, my 3 friends, are one of them roaming around without a flashlight, and how the heck are they seeing?
Yeah.
But they walked right up to the back of my tent, and I had some paper bags of like coffee, sugar. I think I had a loaf of bread in a second bag. It didn't mess with the paper grocery bags stacked along the back of my tent. It like reached over those bags and just pushed me right below my left shoulder and rolled me over. And I tried to resist it. I was trying to not like go with it. And then when I realized, well, wait a second, what's going on here? And then it just rolled me over, and my jaw hit the ground. And I was like, of course, the next morning we compared notes, and we had one of our research friends, another gentleman, he told me, he says, yeah, I heard something scratching. He had like a tent that is very similar to a tent you use for ice fishing, but it was sort of duck back. He said something was dragging its hands or nails across the fabric of the tent on the outside. And so I said, well, then maybe there was more than one roaming through camp.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the following day after that, on this next morning, early in the AM, probably about 4:30 a.m. in the morning, I had stayed up late the night before, and I woke up to stomping, branch breaks, like from a big individual close to our camp. I mean, we're talking about within probably 45 feet, 35 feet of the camp. And the other guys, Randy and Dave, they went ahead and told me, they said, yeah, but didn't you hear the growls, Don? I said, the growls. And they go, yeah, this thing we walked in and started snapping little spruce and pine trees, little saplings, and started growling. And they assumed it was either stomping its feet or using its hands. It was pummeling the ground with its hands. And I woke up through like the second half of that. I only caught the tail end of that. And they said it turned around, and as it stomped out, it was snapping little saplings that walked out. And one of the guys said, yeah, I was about to unzip my tent and stick my head out. And he says, the growl went from like just a low growl to like, it just like came up in octaves and pitch and actually in volume. And he says, so I re-zipped my tent and I drew my head back. He says, I wasn't about to go out there.
Well, how did you find this spot, Ricky? This is in Wisconsin, where you got rolled.
So when I was doing began pretty much the Dogman research, I'd be in different Facebook groups. So I would look at what people would say in different groups. Now, since I worked in corrections and I used to do investigations, I can read between the lines, let's say, and this lady wrote something that sparked my curiosity, so I PM'd her. And so when I PM'd her, she responded back, and sure enough, she had activity in her property. She had a large story to tell. I went to her property. We did an investigation. It was probably fall when we did it. So time had passed, and we were supposed to go to one of our friends' property close by. But it had been a long time, and they say that he has been there. So when I got to northern Wisconsin, I called the lady up and said, hey, listen, do you still have or own the property? And she says, yes. Can we camp in the backyard? Sure, why not? So that's what we did. We got to the property. No one lived there back then. She had already moved, but the property was still in her name. So we just camped in the backyard. So when we sat there, we opened camp, and we started looking around. And I think the first day we saw this humongous X, like right next to the house, unmistakable. So we already knew there was Bigfoot there. I already knew there was Dogman there because I had even documented the scratches of the dogman that had left on the side of the house. So we knew the area had activity in the past. We wanted to make sure if it had activity now. And like I said, sure enough, the first day they were there, we saw humongous, and we took a picture, me, Don, and I think Dave, under the X, and all of us were like looking up, trying to see the top of this X because it was a huge X. The owner that used to live there never realized that she had Bigfoot in the property as well. And that's how he came about staying on that property.
Did the woman know she had Dogman on her property?
Yes. She has a story. She had 5 Dogman. Her kids seen Dogman. One of her sons, both of her sons left the property. One does not want to talk about nothing. The other one, he said he was going to talk to me, but then he backed out. Both of them prefer not to talk about what happened in that property during that time frame. And pretty much all the kids, because it was 2 boys and a girl, I believe, they all left the area. They left mom and dad all to themselves when they got old enough to move out because of what happened there.
Interesting. So the family got spooked. Is this area surrounded by forest, this home? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on all 4 sides. It's
surrounded by forest and surrounded by a river.
Well, okay, so there's a river that surrounds it. That's important. Were there any other features in the property? Power line cuts, railroad tracks, other creeks, ponds, lakes? Can you?
Yeah, south of us there was a lumber mill several miles south of us, and then of course there was a backwaters off that river that we hiked to that one day, and of course there was we encountered. We did some track hunting for other animals, and we found bear tracks, bobcat tracks. I believe we even saw deer tracks in certain parts of. There was behind the property. There's a trail that goes for a good distance and cuts through these other areas of people that own private properties that are in some cases, I think the closest property was an abandoned property right next to that one, but it was all
Gotcha.
overcome or overgrown with forest and very alpine in appearance. But we, on the first night there, I had my thermal out, and we had walked through this section of woods just on the southeast portion of the property adjoining her yard. And we walked in, it couldn't have been not even 10 yards in. We were probably not even 55 feet in. And we saw what appeared to be feces of an unknown. It wasn't elk. It wasn't, it looked very hominid in appearance, the feces. And so we put up a trail camera. One of the guys did. And then we fell back that first night. We all set up a perimeter overwatch, everybody with night vision and thermal cameras. And I happened to catch on that section of yard the first night something at least taller than me walking through that same section we had checked out earlier in the day during the daytime. Was just black. It was a black anomaly on thermal. You could see it moving through the foliage, no distinct features, no outline. I told them it was above the height of what an elk would be. So I felt it was not elk. It wasn't anything we were familiar with. And then the night after that, we set up an overwatch where all four of us took up positions in the backyard. And that's when Dave saw what he described as dogman on his night vision goggle, his night vision monocular. And then when he had taken the monocular away to look at it with his naked eye, he could see it with the naked eye very easily. So he described it. It had bluish appearing eyes, almost like it was reflecting blue. And it's he said with the night vision, he saw it with its mouth open and saw its canines, its teeth. And so we went right after this happened, within minutes, we went over there. It was right on the side of the house, and we tried to do a size estimate. And Dave said he believed it was humped over a little, so he figured standing straight up, this creature wasn't much more than 6 feet tall. It wasn't super tall. So at that point, I thought, well, maybe there are dogmen there, not just Bigfoot. So we, at that point, had encountered both. I believe we encountered both types, Bigfoot and dogman.
Crazy. So, and you had sightings of Bigfoot on the property, correct, Ricky? Juveniles you had mentioned you thought were juveniles on the property?
She knew she had dogmen on the property. She did not know she had Bigfoot on the property. We're the ones that realized, because it's funny, because I messaged her, hey, did you know you had Bigfoot on the property? And she goes, what? Yeah. Do you know you have Bigfoot on the property? Like, no? Well, you sure do. So she found out through us that she had Bigfoot on the property as well. And like Don said,
nothing worse than having both monsters living on both unknowns living on your property.
And then they both came in very, nonchalantly. And by that, what I'm saying is they both on particular days came in and messed with us. Like Don said, I think it was on day 2, as he said, Dave had his situation. I think on day 1, Don, correct me if I'm wrong, on day 1, we had a friend that came in from where I lived. And so he came in at nighttime. He wanted to sit down in the woods. So he takes his lights, he takes his stuff, goes past me, my tent, and goes into the woods. He sits down in the woods. Minutes later, all of a sudden, all I see is his spotlight flashing in the sky back and forth. And I see him coming back. And our brains was like, what are you doing? You're flashing everywhere. If he wanted activity, well, there goes the activity. So he comes back and he goes into his tent. I think in the morning is when he told us that he sat down there and he can hear the clicking sound that I've always talked to him about coming towards him and splitting up to surround him. So he just turned on his flashlight and started flashing back and forth to trying to see stuff, and ran back into camp.
Clicking
So
sounds.
then,
Do you want to describe these clicking sounds before we forget?
Have you ever heard of a cat doing clickings with his mouth?
No, I haven't.
If Alex,
Alex?
So cats do this. If you were to Google it, you can find cats. Cats will have this clicking sound. When I'm assuming the cats do it with their tongues. I do not know how dogmen do it.
Yeah,
but it sounds just like that. It's like a.
Yeah, it's in there. It almost sounds
it's
like
a clicking. It's like a
clicking sound, but it's like deep inside there, because they don't do it on the exhale. It's almost like when they're comfortable, or they're relaxed, or they feel at ease. They do this clicking. I'm assuming I'm not sure, but I've had cats do that. But then after I heard the clicking and recorded it at this property Ricky brought us to, I realized something else is going on here. And so he tried to explain. Here you go.
Okay.
Yes. Except the dogman does it like 10 times louder.
Yes. When I
so the same type of clicking.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he had explained to me, and after I heard it, I said, that's what that is, because I had heard it before in Illinois, and I just dismissed it as some unknown bird, creature of the forest that I was unaware of doing the clicking. And he goes, "No, that's sort of like that's a dogman thing," and I did not know that, but I recorded
David
it.
Ellis said this is on his radar, obviously, to research, to listen to recordings and whatnot. Yeah, obviously, David, that sounds interesting. So you've heard this clicking lots of times, Ricky. You've heard it, Don.
Yes, there's a clicking sound, and believe it or not, we have it on audio as well. We all know the Predator sound, right?
Yep.
From the movie Predators.
Yep.
They also do the exact same sound, and in our audio in Wisconsin that you'll hear that audio. And then it threw a rock, and the rock hit a shed, and you'll hear the rock hit the shed right after the audio.
God, I
really
mean,
interesting.
Same exact thing happened, giving me the chills.
So,
yeah, there was an empty trailer on the other side of the property, and I kept saying, "Oh, those are just pine cones dropping on the trailer." But then when you could hear the force, the pine cones were hitting the trailer, or whatever was being thrown at that empty trailer. I realized, no, something's throwing it directly, like pitching it. And then we put Ricky put his audio recorder, and I put mine audio recorder south of the property where we were suspecting Bigfoot to come in, and where we later heard the clicks coming from. And in one of my recordings, I hear probably went on for at least 45 minutes to an hour. Every minute or so, something would toss a rock on this fence post that I had my digital recorder sitting on, and you could hear it bouncing off the fence post right below my digital recorder. And Ricky heard it too. And I said, so I always thought that was just a Bigfoot thing. And I come to realize there's a lot going on I was unaware of. And I've had Bigfoot throw stuff at me, rocks and items that I was unaware of, and not, I thought, well, that's, they never ramped it up. I never got hit with a boulder or a big rock, but I had things whiz by me pretty close, almost hit me. And they seem to be very, very accurate.
Ricky, when that rock hit the shed, did the rock then roll up to your feet or roll towards you?
Well, and you would only hear it. I mean, the what I'm mentioning was caught on audio, so you can hear the clicking Predator type sound, and then you'd hear the rock. So it made the sound, and then it tossed a rock, and that you caught on audio.
Yeah,
as that happened.
I gotcha. Very interesting. So what's the scariest
Then
thing?
there was other sounds that
we have a big delay, Ricky.
the scariest
because,
thing.
Hang on. Yeah, we have a delay in the signal. I want to ask you, what's the scariest encounter you've had, Ricky, in all your time researching?
I think the scariest one that got me to the point where I thought I was going to die. That the dread feeling, which after I passed that, I think that dread kind of went out a little bit out the door as the years passed by. But the moment in time was in Wisconsin. We had a house fire, and my parents were coming in from Massachusetts. So it was a night I was taking out the vinyl from the floor and the cabinets and whatnot. So I had to put everything outside. Now behind the house that I used to live on, which also had 3 acres of land surrounded by cornfields, there was no lights in the back. We already knew we had Dogman on the property, but at one point or the other, I told my wife, I was looking for the utility knife, and so she told me, I think you left it inside the cabinet that's outside. So I walked out the door. So to give you an idea, the floor, there's a lip, a step, then there's a sliding door, and you step outside. So I stepped outside, took a right, and went towards the cabinet. Now, the only light that I have for outside is the light that's coming from inside the house. There's a sliding door and there's a curtain that comes to the side. So that's the only light that is shining outside. Is the only light that I have to see around in the cabinet, inside, whatever. So I put my hands inside. I kind of felt the knife. But at that moment in time, I felt this dread come over me, like if I was about to die. It was an extreme feeling of terror. I'll never forget it. And the first thing that came to my mind was turn around. There's something behind you. So I did. And when I did, there was a dog man on the opposite side of the house looking at me. And all you can see is his shoulder and part of his face. So now I turn back, I put my back towards the house, and I'm looking towards my right, and I can feel this dread coming from my right side, not from the one that's on my left side that's next to the house. As I'm standing there trying to figure out what the hell's going on, what's happening, I realized that I had 3 more coming from the cornfields, and you can see the eye shine because of the light that's coming in from the house. I close my eyes. My brain is telling me I can't scream. I can't do nothing because I got a child inside. I got my wife inside. If they come outside, this might go bad. And my brain was just racking it up. I started kind of trembling a little bit. And I had my utility knife, and I'm looking down, and I'm talking to myself. And why I said this, I don't know. For me, myself, I'm assuming that I said it to psych myself out. It was going to be a situation, so I just said, this is my house, back off. I said it twice. All of a sudden, that feeling from inside of me now, I guess, went from flight to fight. I can't flee because fleeing would go back inside my home where my child is at and my wife is at. So my brain, I guess, went from that to fight. And I stood up. I stood up tall, and I said it again, this is my house, back off. And I'm not saying I would have beaten 5 dogmen with a utility knife, but my mindset was, I'm not running inside my house and opening a door where my child is at. And sure enough, the one towards my right slowly stopped walking forward. The one at my left side stopped creeping because he was like trying to slowly come out of the side of the house. So he kind of like stopped, slowed down, and went back in to the point where he left. Then the three that were in front of me slowly stopped and then started walking backwards. And they kind of turned around and they went back into the cornfields. The one that was in my right, which today I'm assuming was the alpha, took longer to leave. To me, it looked like if he was waiting for the other four to back up before he left. And then it went into the cornfield as well. I went back in the house and I sat, closed the door, locked it, closed the curtain, and I sat on the lip. My wife was in the bathroom, and when she comes out the bathroom, she stops and looks at me and just says, "Are you okay?" I was trembling. I want to say I was in shock at that moment in time. I guess she sensed that I wasn't, right or something, and so she asked me if I was okay. All I told her was, "I'm fine. I'm just tired. I'm going to finish this right here, and I'm going to go to bed." And sure enough, that's exactly what I did. I worked probably 5 more minutes, and I went to bed.
Wow.
That was the scariest at that moment in time. I've been surrounded 3 other times. One was with one of our teammates, also in Wisconsin. But every time after that, it wasn't so dreadful. It wasn't so scary. It's like when you do something that scares you, it's no longer scary in the aftermath anymore. But that one was the one that, like I said, that feeling of dread, that feeling you were going to die, the feeling of you can't do nothing. Then the thought of you having your kid and wife inside, and they might die if I go and open the door or scream for help, was just way too strong at that moment in time. And it brings shivers every time I tell the story. Back then, again, I was trembling while sitting down, enough for my wife to realize. And I'm a correctional officer. I was certified in everything. I was part of the ERU team, which is like the SWAT team for the prison, and I worked in a maximum security prison. So going up against multiple individuals or being outnumbered is just a normal thing in prison, and that put the scare in me like you wouldn't believe.
It's crazy. Alex, can
it'll be
can you throw up the echolocation comments, starting with Sasquatch Wizard?
Yeah.
Please. Do you think it's possible they're clicking Ricky because of for maybe echolocation reasons? Because they had mentioned that blind people will click like their tongue to guide them. It's like bats. Super interesting. Super interesting. So he said he's reviewing information on deaf people.
It's a possibility. I'm not saying it wouldn't.
Yeah. What I've because I talked to an individual who she was a biologist. She dealt with primates. Because for everything that I research, I always try to go back to what nature has already provided. And one of the things that she mentioned was that if the vocal cords are big enough, a cryptid can, obviously, we weren't using the word cryptid when we were talking, but if the vocal cords were big enough, they can use clicks and sound as echolocation. When it comes to the dogman, I think it's just a way of them communicating, because it's done in particular times versus trying to mimic or so. Meaning it's an emotional response.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. Don, what about you? Have you had any, other than staying at Ricky's cabin? I don't know what I would have done showing up to that place. Like, oh my God. Anything, I mean, what's been one of the scariest things or your sighting? What's had a big effect on you?
Probably the most, there's been a couple ones that I've been in that were pretty dicey.
Well, tell us the best one.
The best one. 1979. We're going back, quite a ways, 43 years, 44 years. I was living in New Mexico, and I did a lot of minimum impact camping, throw on a backpack, go up to the national forest, hike into the Black Range National Forest in New Mexico. And I had done a few camps by that time. I had lived there for about a year. And nothing really had occurred the first few times. And this was probably the beginning of fall. And I had a Samoy dog. And I went into an area in the Black Range Mountains, Mimbres, which is sort of that's a way to get into the Gila National Wilderness. And I parked my car, hiked down this mountain ridge approximately 11 miles to the valley below and set up a minimum impact camp, which was just my campfire, my bedroll, and cook some food.
Kind of like Ricky's cabin.
Sort of, yeah, without the cabin though.
Yeah.
And a heck of a long walk. Of course, I was only 26, 25 at the time. I was pretty young, and I did a lot of this at that time in my life and continued later to do it. But went on a day hike and got lost, turned around, was able to find my way back to camp. And at just within about 45 minutes to an hour before sunset, I hear something. Now my camp was set up about 30 feet from a creek bed, which had water in it. It was flowing water in it, probably 15-foot wide creek bed, water no deeper than 6 inches at the deepest, 30 feet from where my camp was. And on the other side of that creek bed were the foothills that I had descended from this mountain from, come down this mountain ridge from. Right before sunset, I hear something walking down the mountainside, and it was just getting to the point where you could barely see. And it got to a point, what I call a butte, overlooking my campground. And there's a lot of shale type rock everywhere, and I could hear this thing walking in the shale on the butte overlooking where I was camping. And I heard it, and I thought, first thing I thought, that's a bear. And then it walked away from me from the overlook position on that butte and came around the side of the butte and descended down that portion of the mountain and continued to walk. By that time, it was totally dark. I'd say 15, 20 minutes had transpired. And I, at that point, when I heard it approaching the creek, I yelled out, "Who is this? Who is that?" And nobody responded. So I had a flashlight with me, and I took out my flashlight and I shined it toward the creek and saw nothing. And then I heard this this kerplosh, kerplosh, kerplosh as this thing walked across this creek bed.
I think it's kerploosh, isn't it?
Kerploosh.
I'm
but
sorry.
I'm
slap happy.
Yeah, it was sort of a wake up call for me that somebody without a flashlight's walking into my camp, and I couldn't conceive at the time who this was. Now my mind was, it sounded bipedally, so I assumed it was a person. And at that point, and I had this little yellow flashlight, it's a marine flashlight that I used to take fishing with the two D-cell batteries in it. I turned it on, and it was apparently, I forgot to put fresh batteries in it. It's dying. So I can see maybe up to 20 feet or less with this. And this thing came up, and it just started walking. What I assumed it was walking around, circles around my camp. And as I was putting the last pieces of my wood in the fire going into like 1 a.m. in the morning, my campfire ended up burning out, and all I had was embers. And my flashlight's almost dead. And my dog was with me growling, and he would not leave. He stayed by my side. He would not go toward this creature or whatever it was. So I didn't hear. I could hear heavy breathing, like something like this thing was asthmatic, and had a hard time catching its breath. And I would every now and then I turn my flashlight on and try to see if I could catch it. And the closest I ever got to me was at a point where I could see just an outline of a shadow behind a juniper tree. The junipers out there where I was camping in this valley were probably no more than maybe at most 10, maybe 12 feet tall. They were short junipers, and this thing was behind the juniper. I could see the outline of this thing, the silhouette. And this went on till I'd say within right a half hour, 45 minutes before sunup. Right as it started getting, you get that sort of haze right at sunset or sunup. You get that sort of haze where it starts to brighten up. And this thing that had boldly walked into my camp, just it left quietly. I didn't even hear it leave. But when this was happening during that, between 9:30, quarter to 10 till like 4 a.m. in the morning, I was like, it's like on a face of a clock. I'd be looking at 12 o'clock, then I'd be at 3 o'clock, then I'd be turning to 10 o'clock, then I'd be at my 6. I was like pivoting constantly, and I'm thinking this thing is like fast. It's moving to all these positions really quick, and I could never catch it. And it wasn't until later, working on this ranch up in Cliff, one of the guys I was working for, he told me, he says, I saw a Bigfoot, and he told me his encounter experience. And that's when I was able to sort of connect the dots and thought, well, what if I had this, it was a Bigfoot circling me, and possibly there were more than one of them. At the whole time, I'm thinking it's one creature moving around me. And so I was ready to fight. I had my gun in a backpack hanging in a tree so the bears wouldn't get to it. So the gun did me no good, but I had a buck knife on me, and I held that like as if I would have to use it. And I thought, if it's going to come to this, at least I can, I'll go out this way, and take whatever it is with me, which I doubt I would have. But I was at the point where you're sort of so far beyond fear that you're in self-defense mode. Yeah. And I'm like, I have to fight this thing. And I was like, the whole night I was just basically had a low profile. I was hunched down. I was sort of like in a position like a fullback, ready to just spring into action. And my dog, I had my dog with me, and I didn't even have to hold on to his collar. He would not leave. And he was alerting me to all these positions. This what I thought was one creature was as it was moving around me. So I got the impression I was using my dog more like radar to let me know where this thing was. That was one of the scary moments for me. And there were others. This was probably one of the one that started me on the quest to find out what are Bigfoot, what are, why are they out there, and are they a people? Are they an animal? And I been on that quest for that adventure for 40 years now.
How many sightings, Ricky, back to you, how many sightings of Bigfoot and in other words, how many creatures have you seen through the years? Not an exact number, but it's obviously more than one.
Well, I can tell you the states, Tennessee, Minnesota, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Illinois, Indiana. All those states I've seen one or more. And Wisconsin, obviously. I've seen one or more.
Wow. Where in Minnesota did you do research?
Up in it's close to the reservation up north.
Leech Lake area?
Jeez.
Lake of the Woods?
If I can.
Well, it's okay. I
believe the town. There's a black something. There's the word. If I had a Google map, I can tell you exactly where I was. It was and there's the guy who lives up there. and he invited me up to his property. He has dogman there. Actually, that was the first place that I've seen a dogman with blue eyes.
Was that in Black Duck, Minnesota?
Was in Minnesota.
Black Duck. You said black. Was it Black Duck, Minnesota?
Black Duck, yes.
It's weird that you say that
Black
because
Duck. Yes.
I've taken several reports of dogman sightings from that area. And
I was there, so I can tell you that they're there.
Interesting. You were up there, huh? Yeah, it's really in the middle of nowhere.
I was up there.
Like in the middle of nowhere to get there.
Yes.
It's a tough drive, actually, because
the only way I got there, I lost signal probably 2 hours prior.
Yeah.
And I just happened to memorize my exact, destination on Google Maps. And for the next 2 hours, I drove off of memory. And my Wi-Fi arrived is the second I parked next to the dude's house. It's like, oh, I'm trying to call you. Well, yeah, I just showed up because I've been without signal. So, yes, it's in the middle of nowhere.
So what did you see? What did you see? Let's back up. What did you see in Black Duck exactly?
So the guy has a family unit in Black Duck. I arrived there. My idea was to spend a long weekend and just scope the area and research the area with him. So the second night that I was there, we were going to camp outside, or I was going to camp outside at least, but we did a bonfire. So my vehicle was parked in his driveway. I drove it more back towards into the property. And then, so I had gone inside, we were talking about what we were going to do. And I went back to my vehicle. And as I'm driving towards the vehicle, these blue eyes just popped up. I mean, this thing had to be at least 9 feet tall. Popped up, looked at me. We stared at each other probably for 2 or 3 seconds. And then it went back down and went into some woods that were at the right side. There's a little creek there. And it's the scariest thing was the owner comes from behind me 2 seconds afterwards. And this guy's a tall individual, right? So he's already 6'4", maybe 6'3". So he comes from behind and starts talking to me. I jumped. And I the first thing I said was, hey, who has blue eyes? So he has given them names, just to give them names. So the minute I asked him, hey, who has blue eyes? He says, so-and-so. And I said, well, so-and-so is right in there because he just stood up and walked that way. And they went back and forth. I'm going to say they because it sounded like there were two, but I know for a fact the one that he calls by his particular name was there. Just watching us in the bonfire. He's like I said, he's probably about 9 feet. He has the guy has a measuring stick that he's made that he has measured against a barn. So he has this dog man. His parents look different from each other. If we were using the description that social media uses, one looked like the more like the werewolf type from the movie Van Helsing, and the other one is more animalistic, so was more crouched over, humped, and the son or the offspring is something in between.
Okay, we got.
And then, like I said, he has blue eye shine, which happens to be interesting because from that point on,
and this
in
was
other
that night.
states,
This was that night.
I've seen several dogmen with blue eyes.
And this was at night, correct, Ricky?
At nighttime. The only thing that I had on was the reflection of. Say it again.
Whoop, you're cutting out.
Yes, say it again.
Okay, so one, I wanted to clarify, was that
no.
You did. So when you say blue glow, so the eyes were glowing?
Yep.
They were glowing, emitting light.
Well, it's a reflection from. Well, no, it was a reflection of the headlamps from my vehicle, because I was headed towards my vehicle to get something off from inside the vehicle, so I hit the beeper and the lights flapped open, and that's where I'm seeing the blue eye shine in a silhouette.
Gotcha.
I had asked them who had blue eyes because I wanted to figure out which of the three was the one that I was that I was looking at. And obviously I didn't mention names besides who has blue eyes, and he mentioned the name. So then I knew which of the three was in front of me at that moment in time.
So you are vouching for this guy, correct? You're completely vouching because you've seen these things.
Oh, I spent 3 days there. I'll definitely vouch for the stuff that he'll tell you from his property.
You realize that property, Alex,
is
near where Sasquatch Central was written?
It was right by Sasquatch.
It's near
Central.
there, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Rick, isn't that the guy also that has both there? He has Bigfoot and Dogman?
Yes.
It's the same gentleman.
Oh,
He has in his mind.
Oh, you cut out. Don, he's a survival. Okay. He's a survival expert. So he seems to know his stuff. I did talk to him once. I reached out to him.
Yeah, you're in Minnesota too, aren't you, Doug?
Yeah.
Are you near?
It's a long drive for me to get up there, but I've been up near his property.
See, I knew of this gentleman long before I met Ricky, and then subsequent to us meeting, that's when he told me he had been up there, and I was like, wait a second, there's like two clans that are sort of there's a mutual coexistence, is what that gentleman had described. And I thought, and I'm sort of like Ricky, I do research based on people I hear about or read about, and then I try to get permission to see if I can go to their property, because a lot of our research is done on private properties. So you got to be careful. You can't mention locations.
How many dogmen did you see on the property, Ricky? This is why we don't podcast from cars. It's fine though. We're happy to have them.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. We're happy to have
which is funny.
It's a new thing. Car podcasting. only in America, only in 2024 can we do this kind of crap. How many did you see there? How many different individuals?
One.
Okay,
because he was the younger one that spent more time around the property.
So it's
and you would always know when he was coming.
The little one that's 8 feet tall. The little one.
Well, he wasn't more than 8 foot tall. He was just young because of age. Because through the years, I realized that a 2-year-old might still be 8-9 feet tall, but he's still young because he's not mature enough still. But this guy, he just spent more time on the property. And you would always know when he was around because of particular birds that happened to flock around him every single time.
And so did you see him more than once, Ricky?
I saw him once, and then I experienced moving shrubs or something of when I was there going into the woods, because I would leave the property and I'd walk with my dog through the woods and stuff like that. So he was always close behind, let's say, right? You would sense his smell or his presence every time you walk more into the woods. But that one time was when I saw him face to face because of the car headlights when I popped the beeper, and he was right in front of the car several yards, but the headlights flashed on him. So you saw his silhouette, you saw his eye shine as he's looking at me. I'm looking at him, so I was like, what do I do now? Because you're right in front of me. but that was the only one time that I saw him face to face.
Yeah, I know this all sounds crazy to people, but it is what it is, I guess. It just sounds nuts.
Yeah, it's way out there. It's hard to. It's not a way to start a conversation, at least with people in my family or people I know. It's like it's a conversation killer. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I can imagine. And have you seen you've had Dogman? This was supposed to be a Bigfoot show, guys, but
No.
whatever. The Dogman's interesting. You know, I've talked to so many witnesses, and I just haven't had any personal experiences because I'm too afraid to go up to Black Duck. I don't want to go to Black Duck, Ricky. I'm not going to Black Duck.
You'll find them there, that's for sure.
So what experiences have you had, Don, with Dogman? I mean, sighting. I'm talking about sighting.
Sightings. I've never seen one. I've gathered trace evidence, casted footprints of them. I've heard them at night. It wasn't until I met Ricky over 5 years ago. It was like eureka. So that's what those sounds are. I'm hearing all the time. I finally came to the conclusion that, and this is sort of Ricky, sort of, he didn't even hint at it. He just came out and told me one day. He says, generally, if you have Bigfoot in the area, you'll have Dogman nearby or within that same region. And if you have Dogman sightings in an area or region, generally Bigfoot will be not far behind. And it seems to be, it's almost like it was like prophetic. Because now when I go out to my active area here in Illinois, and within 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years of being at that active area, where I've heard whoops and screams and barks from Bigfoot and seen their structures. One day I was doing zooming with my camera. I was zooming with this Canon camera I had, and later at home I was reviewing the footage. And here's a frame. I got to several frames, and I'm like, what the heck is this? I sent it to Ricky. He goes, oh, you got a Dogman. You got a picture of a Dogman. And I said, wow. I said, so some of these structures I'm seeing, some of this trace evidence I'm seeing I can't say is always strictly attributable to Bigfoot anymore. So it sort of opened my eyes that I have Bigfoot in the area. And this is, as of recently, a week and a half ago, I was in the area and they were paralleling me at a creek bed that I was 35, 40 yards from on the trailhead. And as I got closer, I got within 60 feet of this creek bed, and I could hear at two locations below me on the creek bed, two creatures moving when I moved. And when I stopped moving, that's when I heard they imitate dog barks. I've heard cows mooing in this conservation area where there are no cows. I've had them throw stuff at me. I have a recent video where I had a rock miss me by a few feet. I heard it just going through the foliage. It just like somebody was, like Sandy Koufax was pitching a fastball, go past me. I heard it, but I didn't see it. When I got home, I reviewed the footage. There's a white rock, probably the size of maybe a little bigger than a walnut on the video. This white rock going right past me. And I slowed it down, and there it was. And coming from an area where they're active, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I got Bigfoot, I already knew, and now Dogmen are also in this area. And I keep telling Rick, when you get to Illinois, I'll take you to that area too. So he has his area, I've got my area. We sort of collaborate and compare notes. And this picture I have, I don't share it on the internet. I don't share it openly because people like to take things and not credit you with it or claim it's their own, or they'll use AI or I should say CGI to enhance it or change it.
Yeah.
So I'm very careful about who I show it to.
Alex, you must have some question.
Yeah. What do you think as a community we could do better as far as having a breakthrough with Bigfoot research?
You mean Dogman research?
Dogman, Bigfoot.
Yeah,
Bigfoot.
it's like
Ricky. I'll let him.
So for me, if to answer that question, I would say break things down, and start from the beginning, and help with when it comes to that breakdown and moving forward. I believe that so many people have many opinions and thoughts and ideas about something. And when you have a multiple array of different thoughts and opinions from different backgrounds, translation gets lost in between because we're all going to different ideas and spots. And if the community were to get together to focus on point A and slowly go to point B and slowly go to point C and D and E and F, we'd eventually get to Z. I think the community now is very divided because everybody has an A, a B, a D, a C, a D, and so at the end of the day, we might not know how A and B is connected to C and how C is connected to D. And if we would just unite and take everything and try to put them together one by one, we'd get further out than what we are now. And then when it comes to both Bigfoot and Dogman, I think the stepping out of the common box and trying new things, we could probably get further out and analyzing things versus just taking what we hear straight out of the box and rolling with it. There's some situations that have happened, let's say with Dogman, and once you analyze it, you realize that the perception that the story was given, the story is true, but the perception was different when you analyze it. So for instance, I had one guy in Georgia that in his mind, the Dogman tried to kill him and it scratched him. It scratched his back. But when you hear the story, the guy came out with a rifle and the Dogman, even though he jumped on him, he took the rifle and broke the rifle and ran away. If he really wanted to kill him, why did he not just kill him and simply jump on him and take the rifle? So the what's happening doesn't really tell you that he really wanted to kill him because he had the opportunity, right? So that's what I'm saying. Instead of taking the story and rolling with it, oh, he tried to kill me. Let's analyze it and realize that there's hidden details in there, and everybody has a hidden detail. Like my research, I've worked with a lot of eyewitnesses, and I've been throughout the United States dealing with witnesses themselves and helping witnesses with their situation. Every witness has a hidden detail. Every single witness will say something that, for instance, Dogman likes lavender. He likes that smell. But unless we ask questions and figure out these hidden details, we would never get these little things. And then these little things lead to other things. So I think that the community focuses too much on answers that they may not be able to get if work isn't done, when there's a lot of work to be done in certain areas that can get us to Z.
Yeah. Well, long story short, we need to communicate a whole lot more. Need to connect the dots. Thank you, Rob. We need to communicate more, share notes, because there are a lot of dots that we need to connect. Lots of dots.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I think we're certainly out of time. I think we'll probably end it here. We're planning, just to announce something, we're planning in the future to start doing some after hours shows for members where we can just kind of continue the conversation. for guests that are willing to do that. And then we'll post them as little after-hour shows. Probably be maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, but that'll get into some new questions and stuff for members only. But anyhow, I really want to thank Ricky for going to the trouble to get a signal. And Don, we're going to have you both back. We'll definitely have you back. You guys have certainly had a lot of experiences. And you definitely do not want to walk out of a dark cabin in Tennessee in the middle of nowhere in your boxers ever again, Don. Do not do that. Ever. So,
you know what I can say to that, Alex? Never get between a dog man and his bone.
No, don't do that. And you don't want to end up, you do not want to end up on the last page of your own story. So with that wisdom, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. Thank you, everybody in chat. And everybody have a great night.
Good night, guys.
What did the pepperoni say when it walked out of the hospital? I'm cured.
Nipples.
Why are elevator jokes the funniest? Oh no. They work on different levels. I call you up in the middle of the night. Been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our talk, I'm feeling just fine. You and I will always know where we belong. This ain't no ordinary love we got going on. I'll pick you up in my 59 Ford. We head on down the road until we get bored. Just you and me and the sun and the wind. If the rain should start falling, we'll head on home again. Everybody else can see where we belong. Oh, ain't no ordinary love we got going on. At the end of the world, together forever is one, and I'll wait. If ever you should be in doubt, and I'll pray they never can pull us apart, and I'll wait for the time when we'll be together every day. But I know if ever we'll be led astray, that I'll find my way back home to you again. At the end of the world, together forever is one, and I'll wait. If ever you should be in doubt, and I pray they never can pull us apart, and